9 activists expected home today. Rafah crossing set to reopen next week. Hello, good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Otto Othman and you're watching World Today. 9 Malaysians participating in the humanitarian mission of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition and 1,000 Midleys to Gaza are scheduled to arrive back in Malaysia this afternoon. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has informed that they are currently en route to Malaysia from Istanbul, Turkey. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has announced that the group is currently on its way back from Istanbul via Saudi Airlines from Jeddah and is expected to arrive at KLIA at 3:55 p.m. Last Wednesday, 9 ships carrying activists were attacked by Israeli forces approximately 120 nautical miles from Gaza before being taken to Ashdod port. Now, at a total of 145 activists, including Malaysian citizens, were detained at Kedziot prison before being released gradually. The Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt will reopen in both directions next week. A source from Hamas stated this will allow movement of people in and out of the enclave, although no specific details were given regarding operations or the travelers who would be permitted to pass through. Humanitarian aid and essential supplies, including fuel and gas, would begin entering Gaza freely. The announcement came after the Israeli army confirmed that a ceasefire with Hamas took effect at noon on Friday. The military said its forces had redeployed along new lines in accordance with the ceasefire and hostage release agreement, while troops in southern Israel would continue to respond to any immediate threats. Following the truce, both 200,000 Palestinians returned to northern Gaza. Under the agreement, Israel is expected to halt fighting and partially withdraw from the Gaza Strip, while Hamas will release all remaining hostages in exchange for the release of around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. 2 years of Israeli military operations have left much of Gaza in ruins, killed more than 67,000 people, and created severe hostages of food and basic supplies. U.S. President Donald Trump and his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will chair a Gaza Peace Summit on Monday. The meeting will include leaders from over 20 countries. The Egyptian presidency said it will aim to end the war in the Gaza Strip, enhance efforts to achieve peace and stability in the Middle East, and usher in a new era of regional security and stability. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he will attend along with Britain's Prime Minister. French President Emmanuel Macron has also confirmed his attendance. Israel has renewed the closure of Al Jazeera's office in Ramallah for the 7th time, extending the ban for another 60 days starting Saturday. A notice from the Israeli military commander was posted at the entrance of Al Jazeera's office building in Ramallah. The Israeli regime accused the Qatari network of aiding terrorists, citing its extensive coverage of Israel's war in Gaza and the ongoing crackdown in the occupied West Bank. The latest order follows a series of restrictions imposed since last year. Israeli forces first shut down the Ramallah bureau in September 2024 after storming the building. Months earlier, the government revoked the press credentials of Al Jazeera journalists and banned the network from broadcasting inside Israel. The network has condemned the moves as efforts to silence its reporting and prevent global audiences from witnessing the realities of life under occupation and the devastation in Gaza. Now, according to the Shireen Abu Akleh Observatory, nearly 300 journalists and media workers have been killed in the Gaza war so far, including 10 from Al Jazeera. U.S. President Donald Trump revived the trade war against Beijing on Friday, ending the uneasy truce between the two largest economies with promises to sharply hike tariffs in a reprisal against China curbing its critical mineral exports. China expressed its firm position, urging the U.S. side to immediately correct its wrongdoings. Now, the president unveiled additional levies of 100% on China's U.S.-bound exports, along with new export controls on any and all critical software by 1st November, 9 days before existing tariff relief is set to expire. Now, the new trade steps were Trump's reaction to China dramatically expanding its rare earth element export controls. China dominates the market for such elements, which are essential to tech manufacturing. The actions signal the biggest rupture in relations in 6 months between Beijing and Washington, the world's biggest factory and its biggest consumer. China and Switzerland have maintained high-level exchanges and continuously deepened mutually beneficial cooperation. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi stated that China appreciates the remarkable journey the bilateral relationship has undertaken over the last 75 years. He further noted that China, eager to work with Switzerland to carry forward the valuable experience, uphold dialogue, enhance mutual trust, deepen cooperation. China also aims to set an example of peaceful coexistence and win-win cooperation between countries with different national conditions and social systems. Now, Wang expressed the belief that Switzerland will continue to adhere to the One China principle and safeguard the political foundation of bilateral relations. China also is ready to strengthen strategic communication with Switzerland, firmly uphold the UN-centered international system, promote a fairer and more reasonable global governance system, and jointly promote world peace and development.
Tingkap dan pintu untuk kekal dingin dan lebih jimat.
Coming up, 3 Qatari diplomats killed in car crash.
Thalassemia adalah sejenis penyakit genetik yang mengakibatkan gangguan dalam proses pembentukan sel darah merah. Secara umumnya, thalassemia boleh dibahagikan kepada 2 kategori, iaitu pembawa dan pesakit thalassemia. Status thalassemia hanya boleh diketahui dan disahkan melalui ujian saringan darah. Dapatkan khidmat nasihat daripada pegawai perubatan di klinik kesihatan berhampiran anda.
A magnitude 6.0 earthquake jolted just off the coast of southern Philippines late Saturday. The United States Geological Survey reported the tremor to occur at a depth of 59 kilometers. There were no immediate reports of casualties from the quake. Rescue and fire authorities were conducting a joint assessment of the damage. The series of quakes came just days after a magnitude 6.9 earthquake killed 75 people and injured more than 1,200 in Cebu province in central Philippines. Three Qatari diplomats were killed in a car crash in the Egyptian Red Sea city of Sharm el-Sheikh. 2 diplomats were injured in the crash when the Qatari delegation's car crashed while traveling on the main road in South Sinai. The deceased were taken to the morgue at the Sharm el-Sheikh International Hospital, while the injured were rushed to the hospital. Sharm el-Sheikh will host an international peace summit today to be co-chaired by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his American counterpart Donald Trump, with the attendance of more than 20 countries. The Egyptian city is set to host on Monday a global summit aimed at finalizing an agreement. Investigators do not expect to find any survivors at the scene of a massive blast at a Tennessee military explosives company, and they have stated that the 16 individuals who remain unaccounted for are presumed dead. Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis said it had been determined that two people previously believed to be among the missing were not on site at the time of the explosion early Friday morning.
That question, I can tell you at this time, we have notified all 16 families of those people that we feel was involved in this situation, this tragedy. Now, you notice the number, there's a difference in the number there. We have been able to locate and determine those two other folks was not on this site.
Investigators are still working to determine the cause of the explosion, and the presence of explosives and other ordnance at the property has made searching the scene complicated. Protesters in Madagascar entered May 13 Square for the first time since demonstrations began, escorted by military troops. The square, a historic flashpoint for political uprising, had been heavily guarded and off-limits throughout the unrest. Some soldiers left their barracks to escort protesters. The protests, inspired by Gen Z movements in Kenya and Nepal, started 25th September over water and electricity shortages, but have escalated into the most serious challenge to President Ange Rovelina since his 2023 re-election. The United Nations reports at least 22 deaths and 100 injuries, though the Malagasy government claims 12 deaths. Actress Diane Keaton, known for her Oscar-winning performance in 1977's Annie Hall and her role in the Godfather films, has died at the age of 79. A family spokesperson said the actress died Saturday in California. Details were not immediately available, and Keaton's loved ones have asked for privacy. Keaton was a frequent collaborator of director Woody Allen, portraying the titular character in Annie Hall, the charming girlfriend of Allen's comic Alvy Singer. Now, the film also garnered Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay, cementing Keaton's place as one of the industry's top actresses and an offbeat style icon as well. The actress made her mark co-starring in 8 Allen films or movies, from Playing It Again, Sam in 1972, The Manhattan in 1979, and Manhattan Murder Mystery in 1993. In the Godfather films, she played Kay Adams, the girlfriend of the eventual wife of Al Pacino's Michael Corleone. A BAFTA and Golden Globe winner, Keaton scored Oscar nominations 3 other times for Best Actress for Reds, Marvin's Room, and Something's Gotta Give. Coming up, Aaron Woy-Yik smash into Arctic Open final.
Malaysia 2025. Setelah menamatkan saingan peringkat kumpulan dengan penuh bergaya, The Real Warriors terus mara membawa semangat juang dari pantai timur bagi berdepan rempuhan lasak The Rhinos. Jumaat 17 Oktober, nantikan pertemuan kelantang The Real Warriors FC bertemu Sabah FC 8:15 malam di saluran OK, juga di RTM Klik.
Malaysia are on the brink of a historic double at the Arctic Open, with both Aaron Chia, So Woy-Yik, and Perlitan Tina storming into the respective finals in Vantaa, Finland on Saturday. Aaron Woy-Yik were in cruise control as they swept aside Thailand's world number 13, Dechapol Puvaranukroh Kitinpong Kidren 21-15, 21-14 in just 36 minutes in the men's doubles semi-finals. The world number 2 also stretched their flawless head-to-head record against Thais to 4-0. However, world number 47 Chung Hon Jian Haikal Nazri failed to set up an all-Malaysian final after going down 21-16, 25-23 to England's world number 15 Ben Lane Sean Vendy. Aaron Woyik will now bid for the 4th title of the season in Sunday's final, where they hold a 6-3 head-to-head advantage over Lane Vendy. The Malaysians have already bagged the Badminton Asian Championships, Thailand Open and Singapore Open this year. Victory in Vanta would be only their second European title since the 2023 Denmark Open and would also ensure the Arctic Open men's doubles crown stays in Malaysian hands, with world number 3 Go Zive Nur Izzuddin Rumsani lifting the Super 500 title last year. Meanwhile, national women's doubles pair, Pearly Tan and M. Tina, had to dig deep in a 3-set battle before securing a place in the final of the Arctic Open badminton tournament in Vanta, Finland on Saturday. In the semi-finals held at the Vantan Energia Arena, the second seeds were stunned after losing the first game 22-24 to Taiwan's Xin Pei Shan and Hung En-Zhu. However, Pearly Tina bounced back with a commanding performance to dominate the second game 21-8. The decider was also tightly contested, but the Malaysians' experience and mental resilience proved decisive as they clinched a 21-17 victory to advance to the final. Pearly Tina, who finished as runners-up in last year's edition, will face Japan's Rin Iwanaga and Kei Nakanishi in the final today. Iraq sealed a 1-0 victory over Indonesia in Jeddah on Saturday. They maintain their hopes of a first World Cup appearance since 1986 as Zidane Iqbal's second-half strike eliminated Patrick Kluivert's side from Asia's qualifiers for next year's finals. The result means Iraq will face Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, with the winners of the tie qualifying for the World Cup, while the runners-up advance to another round of preliminaries. The Iraqi national football team began the 4th round of the AFC World Cup qualifiers with a crucial win over Indonesia on Saturday. The match, which took place at the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, was a tight tactical battle with both sides struggling to find fluency in the first half, which ended scoreless. The breakthrough finally came in the 76th minute when former Manchester United prospect Zidane Iqbal found the back of the net with a well-taken effort from outside the box. The youngster demonstrated excellent close control to create the space needed for the decisive finish. This win is paramount for Iraq's progression in Group B, which also includes regional powerhouse and host nation Saudi Arabia. The Iraqi team, led by coach Graham Arnold, must now quickly shift focus to their next critical fixture against Saudi Arabia, scheduled for Tuesday. Cousins Valentin Chavero and Arthur Rindeck-Nitsch will meet in the Shanghai Masters final after pulling off stunning upsets of former champions Novak Djokovic and Daniil Medvedev in the semi-finals on Saturday. World number 204, Vacheron became the lowest-ranked player to reach an ATP Masters 1000 final after he defeated a struggling Djokovic 6-3, 6-4. Djokovic broke Vacheron in the first game of the match, but the 26-year-old immediately broke back and built a 4-3 lead when the Serbian took a medical timeout. Now, Vacheron won the next 2 games with ease to secure the first set and put Djokovic through a 12-minute battle for the first game of the second set, which the 38-year-old managed to win after saving 2 break points. A double faulted or led to Djokovic losing his serve as Chavero took a 5-4 lead that tipped the set in his favor. Hours later, Rendenich knocked out former U.S. Open champion Medvedev 4-6, 6-2, 6-4 to complete an extraordinary family double. After taking the first set, Medvedev struggled with the 30-year-old Frenchman's strong returns, finding the net from the baseline multiple times as Rendenich won the second set 6-2 with Chavero watching from the stands. A decisive break secured the third set for Rendenich as Medvedev saved the first match point with a serve down the middle, but gave away the second with a double fault. In another tournament in China, world number 6 Jessica Pegula fought back from 2-5 down in the deciding set to upset top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka 2-6, 6-4, 7-6 on Saturday and set up a Wuhan Open final against fellow American Coco Gauff. French Open champion Gauff defeated Italy's Jasmine Paolini 6-4, 6-3 earlier to reach her third WTA 1000 final of the year. Coming from a set down, Pegula was playing great off the ground, which helped her course correct in the second set. Pegula broke Sabalenka in the third set, with the Belarusian serving for the match and again to move 6-5 ahead. The American squandered 2 match points in the next game as Sabalenka leveled, but Pegula dominated the tiebreak to seal victory after 2 hours and 20 minutes. American third seed Gauff took the opening set after both players held serve in the first 5 games before trading 5 straight breaks. The second set followed a similar pattern as Paolini broke for a 3-2 lead, but Gauff hit straight back in the 11th consecutive game without a service hold. Gauff held the first time in the set to move 4-3 ahead, broke again and served out the match to set up a clash with fellow American Pegula on Sunday. Up next, Riyadh Book Fair inspires new generation. Grand Central Terminal in New York has transformed into a giant digital art gallery, a celebration of city and its people. All 150 digital screens across the landmark and its subway concourse now feature portraits and stories by Brandon Stanton, the creator of the world-famous Humans of New York. Stanton says the idea was to capture the soul of the city in one place, and where better than Grand Central, where more than 750,000 commuters pass through each day. The 2-week installation, titled Dear New York, replaces every advertising display with images of ordinary New Yorkers alongside large-scale projections.
The whole thing about New York is that the entire world is here. Every type of person, every ethnicity, every belief, every viewpoint, and everyone's packed together in this tiny place. And I actually think there's something kind of spiritual about that, because across the world there are wars being fought over smaller differences than can be found on a 7 rush hour train. Yet, despite annoying the hell out of each other sometimes, this city works. And I think there's hope for everybody in that.
Stanton funded the project entirely through proceeds from his latest book, also called Dear New York, pledging any extra earnings to local charities. The Georgia-born photographer created Humans of New York in 2010 after losing his job in finance. Since then, his portraits have drawn millions of followers around the world. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were celebrated in New York on Thursday night, receiving the Humanitarians of the Year award from Project Healthy Minds for their advocacy on mental health. At the annual gala, hosted by television personality Carson Daly, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex spoke passionately about protecting children from the risks of social media. Since Harry went on to announce a new partnership between the Parents New Network and Parents Together, two groups working to safeguard families in the digital age. He said collaboration among parents is key to driving meaningful change as technology continues to evolve.
But here's what gives us hope. These families are not facing this alone. Kids and parents are coming together, mobilizing in inspiring ways by creating the Balance Project, the Smartphone-Free Childhood Movement, the Luddite Club here in New York City, and many, many more. Knowledge is power, and community is strength. Expanding the parents' movement and supporting them throughout is how real change happens.
The evening featured musical performances by Lucas Graham and Alexander Stewart, rounding off a night decided to mental health, community, and the well-being of future generations. Amid the lively buzz of the Riyadh International Book Fair, families are embracing the chance to nurture a love of reading among children and steer them away from endless screen time. Parents say the annual event offers a meaningful alternative to phones and tablets. One visitor, Jihad Kaki from Lebanon, said they brought his children to spark their interest in books, promising to buy them any title they wanted as long as they read it. The fair, one of the Saudi capital's biggest cultural gatherings, has been drawing thousands of visitors daily since opening on 2nd October at Princess Noorah University. Organizers have made children a central focus this year, with reading corners and workshops and entertainment designed to make books come alive for young audiences. First launched in 2018, the Riyadh International Book Fair has grown into a regional hub for literature and culture. This year's edition, themed Riyadh Reads, brings together more than 2,000 publishers from over 25 countries. It wasn't the apocalypse, but it sure looked like one in London on Saturday, as hundreds of zombies took to the streets for the return of World Zombie Day London. After a 6-year hiatus, the undead were back, lurching their way through some of the city's most iconic landmarks, from Trafalgar Square to Soho, in a parade that makes fright fun and fundraising. The annual Zombie Walk, first inspired by George Romero's classic Dawn of the Dead, began in Pittsburgh in 2006 and has since spread to more than 50 cities around the world. This year's London event put a charitable twist on the horror, raising funds for Hope Field Animal Sanctuary, which rescues and cares for abandoned and mistreated animals. Organizers say the walk is family and pet-friendly, with accessible routes for wheelchairs, strollers, and even dogs on leashes. Participants of all ages showed off their fake blood, torn costumes, and best zombie groans, all for a good cause.
Padamkan komputer untuk lebih penjimatan.
Well, that concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, 9 Malaysian activists expected home today. Till then, I'm Otto Othman, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat Disantuni. Thanks for watching.